Welcome to the AOA live stream. Today we're going to talk about retrofits. And my name is Jeff Fowler. I'm the president of the Apartment Owners Association. And again, just want to welcome you to this live stream. Today we're going to talk about retrofits. And I remember I was building a building in East Asia and it collapsed. And it was fortunately before anyone was living in it. But that would have been catastrophe. And I want you to avoid catastrophe. So if you're watching this and you haven't done your retrofit yet, please comply with these laws. They're there for a reason. Avoid a catastrophe. And so you're going to want to check out our sponsor of today's live stream. It's Titan Commercial Retrofit. They've been around for 35 years. It's a family-run business. And one unique thing about them is that they actually fabricate the steel as well as do the retrofit. And so they're a great company to get a bid from. So I encourage you. And then at the end of the presentation, they will share a special deal that's just for AOA members. So you're going to want to tune in all the way till the end to hear that. Before we get started, I want you to know that we have another live stream today at 12:30 about how to fill vacant units. And there's a matchmaker, and you'll want to meet her to connect you to the right people. And then next week we have one called Pathway to Wealth, and it basically is going to help you to organize all of your property management into one system, and that will help you leave a legacy. And I think that's what we're all in this for. We'd love to leave a legacy, and AOA is here to help you do that. We want to keep you in the know. And so don't forget to subscribe. We have an e-newsletter that's free, so go ahead, subscribe. Go to the AOAUSA.com website, and at the very bottom on the right side, you'll see a little place where you can subscribe. That's free. You don't even have to be a member. And then also subscribe to the YouTube or Facebook. And if you like the content, please share it and like it with your friends. And at the very end of the presentation, we'll take questions. So please hold your questions until we finish, because you could get your question answered during the presentation, and that then you can put your question in on Facebook, on YouTube. Just put the question in the chat. Then also there's a little blue help button if you're watching this from the AOAUSA.com website. If you put your question into the chat, all these questions will be funneled in. I'll be able to read those to our speaker today, our two speakers actually. And so yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get started. So our speaker today, he is the operations manager for Titan Commercial Retrofit. He's been in this family business his whole life, so he knows the industry very well. And he's been, So UC Santa Barbara graduate, so very smart guy. I've talked with him. He's the kind of guy that I think you could trust, and I hope that you can trust. Hopefully you can. And right, yes, and the one last thing that I wanted to mention, they've done over 300 retrofits, and when I looked them up, they had great reviews. And anyway, so it's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope you are too. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today elir.itzhaki.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is elir.itzhaki. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I really appreciate it. We're here today to discuss how to comply with the soft story ordinance and add cash flow with ADUs. So today's topics, we're going to be talking about the new California legislature, about how we can combine the ADU and the soft story retrofits together. We'll be showing you some examples of before and afters of the soft story retrofit and some before and afters of the ADU while introducing the soft story retrofit together and fulfilling the ordinance requirements. A little bit of the construction of the ADUs, the costs associated, the different types of ADUs, and our services and expertise. So again, this is Meet the Team. I'm elir.itzhaki, the operations manager of Titan. We'll also be hearing today from Glenn Jost, our sales and marketing manager. He has a historic background in commercial real estate. He's done quite a bit, and he's been in the retrofit business with us for a couple years now. Very knowledgeable, very aware of the commercial real estate world, and can definitely help answer any questions about the financials, and things of that nature. So about Titan. We're a family business. We started 35 years ago under Mastercraft Iron Company. My father started Mastercraft 35 years ago. It's our structural steel fabrication shop. So we fabricate all of our structural steel in-house, and we've been doing so for 35 years, doing work on high-rises and buildings in downtown, and quite a bit of work in that direction. From there, we started our own general contracting company, where we've built custom homes, about a couple dozen or so, all over LA, to include Beverly Hills, Pacific Palisades, Santa Monica, and West Hollywood. From there, with our expertise in steel and our knowledge in general contracting after building these homes, we decided when the retrofit ordinance came about that it was a no-brainer for us to enter into the retrofit world. And since then, we've had outstanding success. We have in-house engineers that have done thousands of plans for us, and we've done over 300 construction projects for the retrofits as of this month. So we have quite a bit of experience, and we're very happy to continue with the retrofits. And also now, with our background in general contracting and building custom-end homes and the retrofits, we've decided to enter into the ADU world, where we can take our expertise in the retrofits and the custom homes and build phenomenal units at very cost-effective rates and make you comply with the soft story ordinance.
Well, I guess this is my time to talk. How you doing? Thank you, Elir. Great start off there. Yeah, you know, we're all learning as we go along in this, how we go through this process. Just a little background, I was in commercial real estate for about 12 years, and I found myself serving my clients as I do in the due diligence process and understanding the need for more clarity as to this ordinance for retrofit back in early 2017. I was working with clients in the brokerage side, but then realized how much really there was indifference and kind of a lack of knowledge in the retrofit side. So that led me to working with some of the finest retrofit contracting companies and engineers throughout the city for the past, well, since early 2017. So, you know, like I said, we're all trying to figure this maze out. There's a lot of change in the politics of California, Los Angeles. We've got Mayor Garcetti. Caitlin may be on the rise. I don't know. But we've got all kinds of changes here. And, you know, I'm trying to learn every day of some of these changes and inform everyone on our team what we can possibly glean from this. So I put together a California list of resources. Basically, the Assembly Bill 68 came to pass, and it changed some of the land use for accessory dwelling units. Along with that, there was the ADU handbook that came out. And there's all kinds of resources online, and I've kind of put together some links that we will also post on our website. If you go to commercialretrofit.com, we'll post all of these links and resources. We're just all, you know, again, trying to learn this together. Our engineers are learning as we go, the city inspectors, the city planners. Everything is kind of in the process. So, but I am thankful we've been able to put a couple dozen permits already in place for ADUs. So we are learning, and we're getting our experiences in that respect. But basically, in January 2020, California legislation passed the amendment to the law that states that you can build basically 2 detached ADUs on your property if you have the land available, as well as converting attached units, which is tuck under, and we'll get into some of the details of the various types of attached and detached. But if you have certificate of occupancy of, let's say, 4 units, 4plex, you can add 1 attached unit and up to 2 detached units if you have got the land. So it's that kind of opportunity that is really, it's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, when I first started in retrofitting, the city was adamant about never take away parking. Now you give it away. Let the tenants deal with it. They can park on the streets. You're completely legal, able to take away parking. There is some concessions to that, but we'll get into that later. But what I'm saying is that the laws are so dynamic that things completely opened up. The laws changed. You've got the land. You own the land. Why not capitalize for the highest and best use of the land? All right, Elir?
So I'd like to go ahead and discuss a typical soft story project so you have an idea of what the soft story process might be like, and then we can transition into what it would look like for us to build an ADU instead. So here's a typical example of one of our projects. This building is called the Lido Capri. It's a building in Studio City. It's a typical building that needs a soft story retrofit. As you can see in the front, it's a tuck under parking and is very clearly soft. So a typical soft story retrofit ordinance, under this ordinance you would need structural steel support, and the calculations show here that a moment frame is the best way to proceed. So a moment frame is structural steel. It's that red item that you see there, and the moment frame is basically encased into a concrete grade beam, which is the rebar cage and that item that you see below. This is a typical retrofit, would take about 8 weeks and would cost you roughly around $60,000. With the new ADU ordinance, we can, however, satisfy the soft story retrofit ordinance with an ADU conversion instead. So this makes it a lot more dynamic. You have many more options now as the building owner, and potentially you can see a great return. So again, here is that before picture of the Lido Capri building. And now here's Lido Capri after the ADU conversion. Now in compliance with the soft story retrofit ordinance, using shear walls instead of the moment frame, but now you have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 570 square foot unit.
Yeah, that's a great example of a attached opportunity that is potentially there. So again, there's all kinds of learning to happen here. You got 570 square feet there. Just to kind of give you an overview of attached, the square footage must comply with the ADU regulations, so it can be no less than 150 square feet. Pretty small. That's like a storage closet. But you can do that. It can be also as large as 850 square foot for a 1-bedroom and 1,000 square foot for a 2-bedroom unit. But the minimum must be a separate entrance, a window, bathroom with a sink and a shower, and a kitchen countertop with sink. That would be an ADU, minimum requirements. So this Lido Capri building in Studio City, basically we're at 570 square foot. Construction prices approximately $300 per foot, $300 a foot. Again, that's all in. It can vary. Prices do vary with that depending on the difficulty, whether there's retrofitting. But, we're looking at the rent approximately for a 1-bedroom in that neighborhood at $1,900. If the factor is 60,000, maybe can we skip to that next page, Todd? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, there you go. So it's 570 feet at $300, 171,000 plus the engineering. 186 total cost for one unit. You rent the 1-bedroom in the neighborhood estimated at $1,900. Again, this is Studio City. It's very, very achievable. And if you factor in that $60,000 that would be spent on the mandatory retrofit, you've only added, in essence, $125,000. With these factors and the estimated rent of $1,900, this would bring the estimated 15 cap. So again, there's we're trying to be as realistic. That's taking out 20% for expenses, and we'll get into some of the other pictures going forward here. I don't have anything on the screen now, Elir, but
sure. So let's discuss quickly here. If I can get back to the PowerPoint for a second. So before, you would have 4 parking spaces under tuck under, requiring a traditional $60,000 retrofit project. It's money that you would need to spend out of pocket with no return on investment. It's purely money that you'd have to spend to satisfy the ordinance and the notice to comply that you received in the mail. Following that, instead of doing the moment frame and the structural steel, we'll put in the existing walls and we'll put a new shear wall in the front. And this would give you the space to create your new 570 square foot unit. And that shear wall is essentially a structurally fortified wall that would help satisfy the retrofit requirements because it is considered structurally significant. It's not just drywall put up, it's not just wood studs. There's might be foundation work involved. It's a very heavily fortified wall, and according to the city, that is enough to satisfy the soft story requirement. So with these new shear walls in the front, you would now have A, the fulfillment of the retrofit ordinance, and B, a new unit with 570 square feet. Obviously, there's some more complications with sewage and with electrical running, but you would save significant money on the retrofit because a shear wall is a lot cheaper to do than a moment frame. So as Glenn discussed, the average cost for the ADUs with the retrofit is about $300 per square foot. The soft story retrofit ordinance would be addressed by the new unit's shear walls, and you would be in compliance. And the most important thing to look for in a ADU contract with a general contractor is you have to make sure it includes mechanical, electrical, plumbing, finishes, and fixtures. These are all items that you obviously need to comply and have a fully fleshed out ADU that is ready to rent. So do make sure that it is all inclusive or turnkey in your contract. To the left there, you'll see the render of that exact 570 square foot unit. You see it's a pretty spacious unit, and we definitely think in the Studio City area that it can qualify for $1,900 a month in rent, if not more. So as Glenn went over some of the math here, we can go over that again on the next slide here. But essentially, the all-inclusive retrofit with engineering, THP, construction, and cost recovery is around $60,000 expense with no return on investment. But as Glenn went over, the math for the ADU makes quite a bit of sense. Glenn, do you want to go over that a little bit?
Sure. I'm having a little difficulty with seeing the screen here, what screen you're actually on, but I can talk it through with the Lido Capri example. Again, it is, here we go. Thank you. Little technical error here, but again, we're talking about the creation of these ADUs, everything being inclusive, and getting that return on investment. So I think we're on numbers for the Capri, and you're adding, what is interesting here with this equation, with that just simple one, adding that one unit, you're basically adding square footage. We all know square footage is the value of the property. So if you take, and the income of the property. So thank you. You guys can follow along on that chart. So if you're taking that it's kind of flickering, but you got $22,800 in gross scheduled income, and that Studio City neighborhood 13 gross rent multiplier is conservative. You're adding, if you add, do the math there, you're adding almost $300,000 in added property value. So that's strong with $186,000 investment. Again, that it does include the retrofit, which you would have had to do anyway. So that is almost a 10% ROI. The new ADU at 186, then again, we take out that factored cost of the mandatory retrofit, and it really sweetens the pie at about a 14.5%, or ROI, I should say. And you can see the payoff, 10.7 years to pay for that. You've added the value, the added property value. It's just a great play. Capital improvement, depreciated over 27.5 years. You can figure that out with your accountant, but it really is it seems to be a no-brainer in an opportunity where the city is now allowing this. Elir?
Great. So obviously the next question is, how many ADUs can I build and where? We obviously want to discuss the ways in which you can add ADUs to your property and the variables that come with it, right? So let's talk about attached, which is what we showed with the Lido Capri example. It is the tuck under where we want to take care of the retrofit ordinance and the add a unit simultaneously. So for that, it follows the math of 25% of the current amount of units that you possess at the building. So for example, if your building is 4 units, you can add a maximum of 1 unit. If you have 8 units, you can add a maximum of 2 attached. So let's say in a property that has 8 linear parking spots, you can add 2 units, each one roughly between 400 and 600 square feet, depending on how wide and how deep these parking spots are. Additionally, California law allows you to build 2 detached units no matter how many units you have. So if you have a 4-unit building, you could build 1 attached and 2 detached for an additional 3 units, which is a no-brainer. So the areas where you can add an attached is for a tuck under parking, like Lido Capri example, attached garages, you can do a garage conversion there, or other attached common spaces such as gyms, meeting rooms, storage areas, anything that's currently attached to the building, you can build 25% of the current unit number plus 2 detached. So in regards to the detached, as mentioned earlier, you can add a maximum of 2 detached units on any property, regardless of how many units you have. So even if you have a duplex or a triplex, if you have the land, you can build 2 detached units, which is phenomenal. So the types of detached units is if you have a detached garage, you can convert that to units. Or if you have an existing carport, you can build, the carport is quite interesting because you can take the ground floor and convert it, or you can build a second story above that and have the units be there. Additionally, if you have empty land, just a plot of grass or cement, you can 100% build 2 units on that space as well. So now I want to show you the detached carport conversion. It is one of the most popular things that we've been asked about because you don't have to eliminate any parking. So over here is an example in Tarzana, a street called Collins. We have a carport on the ground level, obviously, where you can have about 15 cars parked, more or less. On the left, you'll see a picture of the actual building. On the right, you'll see our rendering. So for the detached carport conversion, again, it is one of the most popular that we've been requested for. You can convert an existing carport into new units. You have 2 options. 1, convert the carport into ground level units. 2, reinforce the carport and build units on the 2nd floor. Generally, the carport conversion does not remove any of the existing parking spots. So this is phenomenal in case you're worried about tight parking in that area. So let's say places such as Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, where parking can be very tight and permitted. Thankfully, we don't eliminate any parking spots in most circumstances for the detached carport conversion. It's very attractive for those reasons alone. Now, I want to show you a render of what this building in Tarzana, the detached carport conversion, would look like. This is a 2-unit conversion where we added a 2nd story to a carport. We retrofitted it and made it seismically strong on the sides and in the back as required. We reinforced the structure and we added that 2nd floor. Each one of these units is about 1,000 square feet, which is great for this area. You can do a 2 or maybe a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or maybe a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and quite a bit of option here. And it only depends on whatever the owner would like, which is great. So Glenn can actually go over some of the math here for the detached carport conversion.
Yes. Yeah, to your point, Elir, there are some restrictions to this. There's a 16-foot height limit with setbacks on the rear and side for these carports. So you do have to take that into consideration. There are ways around. You can cantilever the 2nd floor outward, and depending on the distances between the space of the building structures, you're able to accommodate a 2nd story on a carport that may be right adjacent or on the property line. So let's see. So yeah, I mean, the separate metered for utilities is a local municipality issue. So, that's again having to use not only get the plumbing back from maybe the back alley all the way to the front, and electrical and utilities, water. These are all municipal type issues that will be worked through the process. So towards the numbers here, if we can get that screen up, I can discuss how it really makes sense on this. My screen is out here, but I can read this off. I think I know where we're at with this, with the detached parking. it's again, this was a kind of a great opportunity with that land use above what was typically just a flat roof. We've put 2,000 feet of living space that adds tremendous value. So you're adding 2 new units, 2,000 square foot. Again, I'm talking about $300 a foot. Again, this does include the steel and the foundation work, everything included all the way to the finishes. And engineering, again, for just one single structure like this is still $15,000. So you're at $615 total cost for 2 units. Market rent, we said in the Encino market, we figured a 1,000 square foot unit would be approximately $3,000 in rent, times 12, 36,000, times 2 units, 72,000. Back out your expenses of 14,000 and change, 14,400. You got 57,600 in net income. Not bad. So you take that gross again, and here you go. The calculation, 72 gross scheduled income times, in this case, 14 times gross. You got $1,008,000 in added property value on a $615,000 investment. Seems quite strong here. You've also got the cost of ADU and RD in an ROI of 9.4 return on investment. Again, where else can you achieve this in today's market in California land? Use your own land. It's fun to kind of see now as things have opened up. Please feel free to call our number, contact us. Elir and I are always available to discuss this. It's a fun challenge to look at each individual project. I mean, I was out in Altadena the other day, and I don't know Altadena specifically, but the building was set up perfectly for ADU conversion. The owner was very interested in this type of a play. So we're coming across these unique circumstances all throughout the city. San Pedro will go out, out as far east as, again, we're talking to people in Pasadena, Altadena, Glendale, Burbank. Everyone is excited about this. So, we're really thankful to be kind of positioned. elir.itzhaki, our president, has put a great effort into our marketing and our efforts, concerted daily discussions on how we can learn more about this. What more can we do to inform our clients? We have a lot of management companies that we work with very closely who are extremely excited about seeing how we can do like a cookie cutter blowout of adding 10 units to a community. I mean, there's every play is unique, and it's important to, I guess, call us up and let us do some of the legwork for you to analyze these, take a look at them for you, and see what the potential is on your property.
Great, Glenn, thank you. So I actually want to talk about our process a little bit so everyone can kind of get an idea of how this may work. So the first step is obviously a consultation. We'll come on site and look at your building specifically and tell you, what your options are the setbacks allowed, how many units you can add specifically and where, and obviously create a pro forma based on the neighborhood rents and tell you, if this is a good example or not. We want to make sure that the building that you have and are thinking about is a valid choice for these ADUs. We don't want you to spend your money and not get the returns that we expect. So the first step is obviously engineering and design. We'd have our engineer come on site, take a look at the property, and see how best we can serve your building to efficiently create a design that would be low in cost and great for the returns. The second step is documents and permits, where we would go ahead throughout the entire process, make sure you get all the clearances like Title 24, green building, mechanical engineering and plumbing, and the permit itself, obviously, to get the construction ready to go. And the last thing is the construction administration. So this is where obviously we shine with our experience and our feasibility plans. We can manage the construction with with in-house crews and in-house project managers to make sure that these projects are going as scheduled per plan and make sure that we have everything that we need to get these jobs done quickly.
Yes, and
So this is our information over here. Obviously, feel free to give us a call or email us. We're welcome to come to your property. Either Glenn or myself would probably come personally and check out the property and make sure that we can best serve you. And with that being said, we've been told that we have 5 minutes left. I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
Great. All right. Now is the time when you get to ask questions. So please go ahead. All right. Now's the time where we get to ask questions. And so please go ahead and start typing your questions in there, and then we can get to them. And just a little filler time as you write those questions in. We do have a couple new forms on the AOA website. One is a new 3-day notice that you serve after you've served the first one, and then also one on SB 1157. If you're not familiar with that one, you want to take a look at the AOA magazine this month. And okay, so we have some questions. Glenn, did you have something? You looked like you had something.
yeah, I just wanted to add, the adage, the old land adage, location, location, location. Every neighborhood, square foot, price per square foot is extremely different. Pacoima to Westwood, does it make sense to do this? It's kind of a matter of determining your rent income potential, of course, and the value of what it would cost to build on your existing land. So you obviously want to build as many square foot, as large of a square foot unit that you can, because more square foot, more rent, and more value. So that's all. Yeah.
Great. And could you guys clarify what area you serve?
So we serve the greater Los Angeles area. We're currently doing retrofits and ADU designs all over the greater Los Angeles area, to include Torrance, San Pedro, Long Beach, obviously the major cities of like Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, Santa Monica. Really, we are very interested in serving anywhere that makes sense for these buildings to be retrofitted and had a conversion installed.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Sasha on YouTube, I have a 3-story building. The space above the lobby is empty. I was thinking of adding studios in that empty space, and then plus taking a bit of the front garden of the building. This way it'll make the lobby bigger and the potential future studios above it larger. Any rule about that?
So it sounds like you're looking to do an attached. The rules for attached essentially are that you have to have, you can only build up to 25% of the number of units. So if you have a 3-story building, let's assume that you have 12 units, you can build a maximum of 3 attached units as studios, or larger if you have the space. And in order to increase the lobby size into the front lawn, it doesn't sound like that would be much of a problem at all. I don't think that has any issues with the ADUs coming into play, as long as you're not trying to build an ADU in that front lobby itself.
Okay, great. All right, on YouTube, IG, what is the average cost to build an ADU ground up?
So the average cost that we see is around $300. Now that can obviously vary depending on what exactly is being asked of us. We tend to include at $300 per square foot pretty high level finishes. Nothing from like Lowe's or Home Depot per se, so that we can get those higher rents that we're looking for. But obviously, depending on the owner, they might want more expensive or less expensive finishes. And additionally, what can play a factor in the variable of the cost is how much square foot you're using. So, for example, if you're only building a 400 square foot, the cost might be a little higher than $300 a square foot. But if you're building 1,000 square feet, the price would probably be lower than $300 a square foot.
Great. All right. Mike Largent on YouTube. Thank you for the question. The rub is the property tax assessment.
Sorry?
So is the downside the property tax assessment? Reassessment?
Glenn?
Property tax assessment. So yeah, that we're not qualified to give that that opinion of what the added tax equation would work out to be from the city standpoint.
From what I've heard, it seems that the cost does not outweigh the benefit, because you can refinance the building after the ADUs are put in. So if you have an assessment after the ADUs are put in, your property is obviously worth more now, and you can refinance and take some of that money out. And so I think the only issue would be with the increase in property tax assessment would be if you refinance and increase your property's value officially. I could be wrong, but you would best be served by talking to a local consultant who can help you best with that.
Okay, great. And here we have one on YouTube. Trista, thank you for your question. How do you handle construction noise and the inconvenience for the existing tenants? Great question. Thank you.
That is a great question. So that is basically the bread and butter of the retrofit world, right? Because we have to reinforce all these buildings that are currently occupied. So we've taken a lot of measures to reduce the noise level. Primarily the hours in which we work are between 8 and generally 4:30 p.m. And so generally those are working hours for most individuals, and that eliminates some conflict or some tension there. The reality though is that it is construction. It will lead to some dust, it will lead to some debris, but we clean up after ourselves on a daily basis, broom, vacuum, pressure wash if necessary. We cover any kind of trenches that we create or holes that we create with structural steel trench plates so the tenant parking is undisturbed, and we don't work on the weekends. Obviously, we understand that tenants' concerns is the owner's concerns, and then that basically trickles down to us as well. We want to make sure that we are very cognizant of our impact on the tenants. And thankfully, we have a lot of 5-star reviews on Google from not owners, from tenants who are very happy that we were the ones that worked on their building, as they've seen other retrofit companies across the street take 3x or 5x amount of time that we take. So additionally, being in-house and using our own construction crews means that we are efficient, means that we get in and get out. I'm not waiting on any other subcontractor to fill me into his schedule when he's available. Being in-house really makes us the most efficient, and that helps us reduce any kind of friction with the tenants.
Elir, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about when I looked at the Google reviews. I just looked for the stars and I saw they were all 5-star, but I didn't even think to look to see if it was the people you were doing the work for or actually the tenant. So that's you're really held accountable, I guess, with Google review and with Yelp, because if you have a complaint, then it's going to show up there for sure.
And we're all 5 stars. Yelp, Google, Houzz, the whole 9 yards.
Great. All right, on YouTube, Paul, do you round up or round down on that 25% of the number of units?
You round down. So if you have 6 units, you can only build 1 attached ADU still. But please don't forget that you can build 2 detached still. So even if you have a 6 or 7 unit building, you still have the potential for 3 new units.
Great. All right. Trista, what is the price for consultation?
There is no price. We offer consultations free of charge. Our interests are your interests. We don't want, again, it's a family business. Our reputation matters to us. Me and Glenn, we are not here to sell you on adding an ADU to every property. We want to make sure it's the right property and that we can make sure that you get the ROI that we promise you. So we do the consultations free of charge, and we'll be more than happy to come out on site, meet with you or your property manager directly, and we can discuss all the possibilities that your building holds.
Oh, Elir, I completely forgot. What was that, the benefit that you were going to give to the AOA members? Was there a discount or something?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. So all AOA members receive an automatic $2,000 discount. Just please mention that you are an AOA member. Us and AOA, we've been together for a long time. We've been at multiple of their conventions and trade shows in Pasadena and Los Angeles. We want to keep that relationship strong, and so just mention the AOA, and we'll be glad to give you a $2,000 discount on any retrofit or ADU.
Cool. All right. On YouTube, Trainomeyer, I invested in a SFR in SoCal, and I am currently getting my first ADU underway. How do you handle or recommend we handle splitting utilities? or is splitting utilities not possible?
Splitting water can be challenging. You can get a separate sub box for electrical, but if you have a separate address, then you can actually get a separate meter. But I am not sure about the Department of Water and Power separating the water, and water is a premium, so that is a consideration.
Was one of the requirements for doing the ADU that they are sub-metered? Is that not one of the requirements?
Yeah, if it's single family resident.
Oh, but it's single family resident.
Yeah,
I see.
if it's
There's the
single family
difference.
resident, then you would get a separate address added to that single family residence with a separate legal utilities.
Got it.
electrical
Okay.
meter, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Good question. And I'm curious, have there been any have any new laws that have come out? Has there been any impact from those laws on whether you can take away the parking spaces or not? Like any COVID moratoriums or anything like that you're aware of?
So that's a great question. It really depends on the building itself. Essentially, what the ADU laws require is some accessibility to local transport. And depending on the local transportation, the rules change a little bit. So obviously that can be addressed more on a case-by-case basis, but some concessions may be that you include a bicycle rack with a lock and key capability, things of that nature. But generally, you do not have to in most cases, you do not have to ensure parking spots remain. You can remove parking spots and build the ADU there without any issues.
I may add, though, there are accommodations or remedies, if you will, because that's considered an amenity for a parking spot. So, the Department of Housing has put together a suggested amount. I think it's between $70 and $231. But you can work out and negotiate your own new lease arrangements with your tenants who will no longer now have a parking spot. So that's on a case-by-case basis with landlord and tenant relationships.
And so you mentioned that there were 3 different steps. Can you just mention those 3 steps again real quickly? Is it design, the first one?
Yeah, of course. So it'd probably be consultation first. That would be pre-contract. Once we are in a contract, it would be engineering and design, where we do all the architectural work, all the engineering work, make sure that the owner is happy with the layouts and get the plans approved through the city to include mechanical engineering and plumbing. So that'd be step 1. Step 2 would be permitting and documents, making sure we have all the clearances necessary and the permit. And then the last step would be the construction, which is pretty straightforward. Make sure that you have a turnkey process that includes everything necessary for the ADU in the contract, to include finishes and fixtures. And from there, once the project is completed, we have our certificate of occupancy. You're ready to rock. You can have tenants move in as soon as we're done.
Great. And I know you guys have done a bunch of these already. If someone were to call you today to get started how long, what's the time that it would take to go from consultation to opening the doors on that?
Great question. So the engineering process and architectural process takes roughly a month to 5 weeks for submittal. Once we submit it to the city takes anywhere between 3 and 6, maybe 7 months to approve the plans, depending on the complexity. And then once that's, the average generally though is around 5 months. So let's say 1 month for the engineering, about 5 months for the engineering to be approved by the city. We're about 6 months in. And the ADU construction can take anywhere between 3 and 6 months, depending again on the complexity. If it's a garage conversion, very quick. If it's building a second level over the carport, obviously it takes a little bit longer. So let's assume on average though, the construction for the carport's about 5 months. All in all, you're looking at about 11-month process.
All right, great. Thank you for that. We're going to wrap up here pretty soon. So if you have a question that you have not asked, now's the time. We have one here. Thank you, Thelma. Is a garage conversion considered an ADU? And are ADUs allowed in the city of Bell?
So yes and yes. So the ADU requirement is a state requirement. So the state has actually threatened to penalize pretty aggressively any municipality that doesn't agree with or doesn't create their own guidelines for the ADUs. So the ADUs do change a little bit from city to city, but it is required, and I'm guarantee you that the city of Bell would allow a garage conversion ADU.
Great. And on YouTube, we have Rick. Can storage space in a carport area be converted into an ADU on a 3-unit property in San Pedro?
Yes. So the legal requirements is at least one ADU, so per property for attached. So, if you have 2, 3, or 4 units, you can at least build one attached. If it is a carport, it's most likely a detached, and any property can build 2 detached ADUs on their lot. So if that storage room fulfills a minimum requirement of 150 square feet, then you will definitely be able to build an ADU in that storage closet.
All right, Ronald is getting his question in here. What is your end goal of soft story retrofit? Safe escape after a event to survive and not to be red tagged? City of Berkeley in removal from soft story list will only state that you did something.
So the soft story retrofit is a very important piece of legislature. The reason they brought it into law is after seeing the amount of death and destruction that there was after the Northridge earthquake and the earthquake before that, 2 years before that. You can look up pictures and videos of quite a bit of loss, and obviously we want to avoid that. The geologists have been saying that the fault lines are overdue for a pretty big earthquake, and not to be the harbinger of doom, but it is necessary that we reinforce these buildings to simply save life. The current code for the retrofit is only supposed to support the building up to 70% of the current code, but that's still a significant increase from where it was prior. Current code today is incredible, and if you're in a newer building during some of these aggressive earthquakes, you won't feel it. But in these older buildings, they collapse, and collapsing building, whether you're in the unit above or down below, is not good news for anybody. So our ultimate goal is obviously the safety of our Los Angeles. We want everyone to be safe. We want there to be no loss of property, no loss of life, and that's the end goal.
Great. And John Chu here. I have a 7,500 square foot property with 3 existing 2-bedroom units. That's a total of 2,334 square feet. How many ADU units can I build on top of the existing 3 carport in the middle of the property?
If it's on top of a detached carport, you can build 2 units. If I didn't understand your question correctly, my apologies. But obviously, you're more than welcome to call us. We can do a free consultation. We'll meet on site, and we can knock down any numbers and make sure that what I'm telling you is correct, that you can build 2 units on any detached.
Great. Thanks, guys. That looks like that's all the questions that we have, unless something comes in last second. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining and listening in, and I wanted to thank Titan for offering that to our members. That's an amazing deal for the members, and just sharing your expertise, showing us what's possible, and how to increase our return on investment for these properties that you worked hard for. You worked hard to build that up, and so they're here to help you make more money, and that's what AOA is here for. We're here to help you make and or keep more money than ever before by giving you the ideas, giving you different ideas that'll help you do that. And our goal is that the process of providing housing is easier and more enjoyable for you. So we do ask that you take a look at AOA, join. There is no per unit charge, and so it's a flat $79 fee per year. 100% money back guarantee. You'll love it. We have the forms. You can call in for property management advice, and we have tenant screening, lots of different services, and we have great vendors like Titan here. And so, thank you. Oh yeah, and also I wanted to mention Don't see any more. Oh yeah, here's one more question. So let's take this from John. What is the soft story ordinance?
So the soft story ordinance applies to tuck under parking buildings that are considered quote unquote soft by engineers and by the city. Essentially, it's generally apartment buildings built before 1978 that have tuck under parking, and so their supports for the units above aren't that effective. They're pretty old. They can handle bearing load, but they don't handle seismic movement very well. So a soft story building is a building that has tuck under parking that isn't well supported and needs to be reinforced.
Great. Yeah, so join us 12:30. We have another one and another live stream, and that is about filling your vacant units. The next week we have one that's about it's pathway to wealth, and you doing that through organizing your property management, all that paperwork, how to get it into gear so that you're a finely tuned, well-oiled machine. And if you were to pass on something that your kids could pick up, could pick up this system and be able to continue to operate. So we all want to leave a legacy, and there's a lot of different ways to get there, so you'll want to tune in for that one. And then there's also one on how to prepare for small claims court, which is going to be appropriate once the eviction moratorium lifts. And so you'll want to tune in for those and other live streams that we have going on. So go ahead and go to the AOA USA website and check out the events, and then also subscribe. And here we go. One last thing. It's the never-ending live stream. Here we go. This is it, okay? Last one. Does the ADU rule modify local side yard or rear yard setbacks, or do the local requirements still apply? Very good question.
So they've actually changed a little bit, but it really depends on the city. So obviously, I wish I can answer you a little bit more in depth, but the minimum requirements is a 4-foot setback from existing property lines. So if you can technically build a new structure or attach a new structure up to 4 feet proximity to the closest property line.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, everyone. Again, we're a Titan Commercial Retrofit. Please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Our consultations are absolutely free, so please call us. We'd be more than happy to meet with you to discuss the potential your building has. And again, my name's Elir. I was joined here by Glenn, and we'll be more than happy to help you in whatever way we can.
And did you say something about an ADU handbook? Was that something that you had?
Yes, we have. We're going to be posting resources on our website. Again, we keep trying to dig more and more into the understanding of what we're legally able to build and do. So those resources will be available on our website. So please check us out at commercialretrofit.com.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.